What you will see here is a free talk show happened on 9th of May 2026 on Eventbrite. The talk show theme is how to read Chinese traditional painting. Hope you enjoy.
Can everybody see this first slide? Have you all seen this? You can all see the first slide about CulturEx and today's hosts. Well, CulturEx, there's a little description. We're barely a year old. We were formed with a collaboration between Raymond and myself in Winchester, which is a city near London, last year in April. And we try and bring Chinese culture to life through workshops, talks, and curated online shopping. We have to find a source of money somewhere, so there's a little hidden agenda which we're being completely open about. You get a free talk, but if you ever want to buy anything, chat with a Chinese angle, Chinese design, Chinese style, Chinese source, we are the people to come to. But our emphasis is exploring each other's cultures and exposing ourselves to them, exchanging our experiences in a mutually respectful way, and to have an experience which enlarges our understanding of the globe and human beings in their respective cultures. That's a very simple set of values at one level, but of course exceedingly complex and exciting at another. Raymond, would you like to say anything more about CulturEx, since it's very much your idea?
Thank you, Richard. I think you have covered most of CulturEx, what CulturEx is doing, what CulturEx is trying to do. And since we got 8 participants now, and I think I'm ready to bring the journey on for people to explore our talk. And there's another one joining. Okay. Welcome, Denise.
Denise, okay, Denise from Zaragoza in Spain. Come on, let's hear from you, Denise, in Spain, once the connection is made. It's like the Eurovision Song Contest. Come in, Spain. Perhaps there's a little connection issue, but this is why we devised half an hour before the talk at 12 o'clock. So these technical issues.
Okay.
She sent a message. She sent a message.
Yeah, Dennis just sent a message.
Okay. Thank you. I'll just reply if we don't hear from her. Raymond, you could, or you, Raymond, or anybody else could ask a question or put your ideas into the chat, which is on your screen on the bottom, 3 blocks in. If you want to chat, use the chat space where Denise has just placed a message of her own.
Have we lost Tara?
Yeah, Tara is multitasking. She's part of a count in the local government elections. For those outside Britain, and there are people here from Spain and India already, there are big elections in Britain at the moment. So she works for a local government agency which is counting votes. So she's having to split her time. But we know that she's very interested in this whole concept and has a lot of experience.
Okay, shall I get started?
Okay, Ian is saying to us, you'll have to go in 5 minutes. Want you all to have a great session, and we'll catch up with Raymond next week. That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reply to that. Thank you, Ian. But when you go.
Oh.
Thank you for joining.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You can carry on, Raymond.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, thank you, Richard, for introducing and welcoming everybody. It's really flattering to have everybody here, and it's our first trial to do this online, and I hope everybody will enjoy most bit of it. And so first of all, there's 2 parts of today's talk show. The part 1 as we already going through most of it, we'll be just get to know each other. It's informal, and I will share some information about the museums. You can go to visit Chinese paintings, both in China and internationally. And then there will be a teaser section. I will show you some famous traditional Chinese painting. And then the part 2 will be mainly about our theme, so how to read Chinese painting. So let's get started. Because I'm in full screen now, I can't really see everybody. So if there's anyone want to share their thoughts, asking a question, could Richard please remind me of that?
Yes, yes. I'm welcoming people who are sending messages to the chat at the moment, and anybody can see what's happening in the chat if they want to do so.
Yes. So after part 2, there will be a Q&A session. And during the talk, if you find something very interesting, or you have a question, or you have something to share, you can always say so. Okay. Let's get started. So museum to visit for Chinese painting, the best of best, I would recommend Taipei Palace Museum in Taiwan. That museum has a lot of masterpieces, especially for Song and Yuan dynasty art. And also equivalently, there's another one called Beijing Palace Museum, which is within the Forbidden City in Beijing. And it holds the largest overall collections of Chinese art globally. Internationally, we got 2 very good ones in the UK, both in London, the British Museum and V&A. Also, you got one in the New York, the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And the following one is some more in China, the National Museum of China, also in Beijing. It has much more collection than the Palace Museum. And Shanghai Museum, which is like a mixture of modern and contemporary and also traditional ones. The Liaoning, located in Liaoning, is very good. Hong Kong has 2 which I just visited. It's very good. The Museum of Art, which is free. The Palace Museum, you do have to pay admission fee, but it's worth it. Okay, so in the next few slides, I have selected some very famous traditional Chinese painting for you. And as you can see here, where the arrow is pointing, I give them an order, so a number there. So if you find something you are interested, you can remember the number as your favorite or the least favorite, or something you have a question on, you can make some notes, and I will be happy to answer any questions in the Q&A session. Okay, so the first one is called A Southern League of Rivers and Mountain. So it was created by a very young, talented artist called Wang Ximen when he was only 18 years old in Song Dynasty. And the top bar, where the very long, as you can see, that's a full scroll of this painting. It is nearly 12 meters long, and there's some screenshots of it. It's located in Beijing Palace Museum today. And some more screenshots of the details. You can have a look. You can notice the color and how the artists arrange different sceneries.
Raymond, could I just interject for a moment?
Yes, of course.
For everybody's enjoyment, we recommend, if you can, to use the largest screen that is available to you. And if you want to zoom in or magnify the painting, you can, and if you can adjust that on your screen, you will be able to see more detail. So if you want to practice just enlarging the screen, which I'm doing on mine at the moment, so the painting in effect takes up the whole screen, you get obviously much more detail.
Yes.
But that was just a top tip. After you. Carry on, Raymond.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let's dive into another one. The second one is today in Taipei Palace Museum. it's also in Song Dynasty, but a bit later than the other one. As you can see, it's also a horizontal one, it's a landscape, and it's very long as well. It's not as long as the last one, but it's about 6 meters long. And as you probably notice in this painting, there's no color. It's only black, using black ink. And that's some details of the painting. You can see there's a human figure there. There's some boat, little boat there, and you can see the contrast of the human figure and the natural scene. And also the technique used to depict the mountains. Okay. And the third one, which is not a landscape, it's a human figure. It's not about scenery, it's a human figure. And it's in today's, in a museum in Japan. It's believed to be dated back in Tang Dynasty, but there's some argument about that. And there's some details. Also, there's some arguments about the date, but this painting believed to be created by an artist called Wu Daozi. And this artist is known for his carving painting on wall. That's also the reason why very few of his painting got left in today's world. And this one believed to be painted by a Song Dynasty artist trying to replicate his style. And his painting don't use any color, it don't really use rendering, it's purely using lines. And you can see the line style, very different to the last two. Okay. And the fourth one here is also a Song Dynasty piece, which is called Listen to the Chain. Chain, if you look into the middle man, which I have an enlarged one, that's an instrument in ancient China. Today we call it guqin. Basically means ancient instrument. There's some human figures there. You also can see in the middle there's a pine tree there. Shortly I will try to introduce those symbols in Chinese painting and their meanings. It's also located in Beijing Palace Museum. Okay, can have a look of how the artists arrange the different figures to draw your attention to the main figure. This figure believed to be one of the Song Dynasty emperor called Song Huizong, and he was the most talented emperor in art, but not in politics. Mm. He was the last emperor in Song Dynasty, Southern Song Dynasty. Basically, he didn't do well in his job, but he was a brilliant artist.
Raymond, how many centuries ago was the Song Dynasty?
So as you can see, it's 12th century. It's sort of around the medieval time.
Yes, good.
Yeah. Okay, we got the fifth one. It's called Night Shining White. So that name is very interesting. It's literally a literal translation from the Chinese. The reason why it's called Night Shining White is because this horse here is supposed to be a white horse, and that's how it's got named. But also it gives you an idea about how Chinese artists, traditional artists, use the empty space or so-called blank space to try to represent the color and the contrast between its skin and other part of the horse body. It's in New York in the Metropolitan Museum. There's some details. You can see the expression on the horse face and also the gesture of the horse, almost like it's gonna break the leash. Okay. And we have the sixth one, which is 5 oxen. This one is a genuine Tang Dynasty piece, which believed to be probably the only one existing on paper, the one ink and color on paper. Probably that is the Tang Dynasty one. And I did try to pick all the oxen out, so you can see 5 of them. None of them are the same. Each of them are different in terms of their skin patterns, their expressions, and their gestures, all different.
Raymond,
Okay.
can I ask a question? I was just
wondering,
of course. Who were these paintings created for? Were they commissioned by sort of wealthy patrons, or were they created to be seen by the populace? Yes,
that's a very good question. I won't explain too much at the moment, but I will just quickly say this one is created by an officer. So he was very good at politics. He was the prime minister at the time. And this painting, because in Tang Dynasty in China, we still value agriculture a lot. So the idea behind this painting is trying to say, because Tang Dynasty is the prime time of China, and we value agriculture so much, and this is a symbol of how strong the nation was at the time. When we're moving on, there will be some artists who is not as same as this, like official artist, or they only paint for themselves or for recreations. So we will jump into that part about the different type of paintings and painters in Chinese history. Thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the seventh one is the Court Ladies. This is a Tang Dynasty piece as well, but this one is not painted on paper, it's painted on silk. And I will give you some detailed shot of the figure. You can see the very fine detail on the lady's the head, on its hair, and the gesture of her hand, and you can see a tiny dog there.
Yeah,
there's patterns of on her clothes as well. So if you notice the time, it's late 8th century to 9th century. So it's amazing to see the details until today. And you can still see it in Liaoning Provisional Museum. And then the 8th one is a sketch of rare birds. This one also is very interesting because it's not really a artwork to display somewhere. It was this artist called Huang Quan. He painted all these birds as a demonstration for his son to practice, and they later become a masterpiece of gongbi, which is a fine brushed painting. And you can see the enlarged details here. You can't really see most contemporary or after Renaissance time in Western art. You got perspective, you got the shadows and lights, but here you don't really see shadows and light, but yet it still feels very vivid, almost 3D, and that's the interesting bit of it, and so much in detail, rich in color.
And it's also a very good painting to use as an example to expand and magnify if you've got the zoom facility. If everybody can do that, you'll see far more detail and richness in the texture and the tone and the shapes. I keep on making that point because the limitations of our screens do not do justice to the complexity and the color and shape of any of these paintings, in my view, unless you expand them to something approaching life size.
Yes, thank you. Okay, the ninth one, this one's a lotus flower. This one dated in Ming Dynasty, which is around 6th century. So it's a bit later than the previous one we just showed you. It's located in Shanghai Museum today, and it's ink on paper. We're just going to see some detail of it. So you can see a big style shift from the earlier one. Thanks to Steve's question, who just asked about whether they're commissioned or scholar or someone just painted as an artist. So this is a very good example of so-called scholar artist. So this painting wouldn't be commissioned for certain occasions or for the rich. It would be this artist called Xu Wei, who is considered to be the maniac artist, who is a bit crazy. But you can also see from his style, he was believed to be able to be the first one created this style. Shortly, we will introduce this style to you as well. You can definitely see the contrast. That's supposed to be the leaves, and you can see the flower and also the stem. Another piece from him, and this is flower and bamboo. It's in Liaoding Museum, and just give you some more details of his painting. You can see how he used ink and the lines and the different weight of the ink. Okay. And the 11th one is called Tasting Tea. It's by an artist called Wen Zhenming in Ming Dynasty. So we're back in Ming again. It's in Taipei Palace Museum. And I'm just gonna show you some details. Actually, I got one here. So that's, I don't know if you can, I think, can you see this? Can you see the hand screw I'm holding?
You've got to move it a bit backwards and forwards. It's obscuring you. That's
Yes,
better.
now.
Move it back a bit. Move it back a bit.
Yeah.
Or forward. Which is one of the tricks.
Yeah, I think. I think that's. I will show it a bit later because we got an official backdrop image, so that's probably interfere with other objects. Okay, there's some more details. At the top, you can see the mountain, the pine tree, and you can have a look of what the figures are doing there. So you got one is probably going for the tea party, and there's a mini teacup party going on. And you can see there's probably a servant there making the tea for them.
Yes.
Okay.
Very nice. Again, that would have been. Carry on, Raymond.
Okay, so here is a last example I'm going to show you for the first part. And there's a 12th one. It's peach tree and cranes. So I would like to throw a question, if anybody know. Do you know the significance of cranes or peach in Chinese traditional culture? Does anybody know?
No.
The significance of cranes or peaches in Chinese culture.
Yeah.
And you want an answer from any of us?
Yeah, if you know, you can shout it out. If you don't, I can explain it to you.
I don't know.
Who's going to be first to show their knowledge or ignorance?
Just take a guess. Take a guess.
Is it prosperity?
Yes, it has some. Yeah, it has some part of it.
Okay.
Well done, Smita. Well done.
Yeah, prosperity and also longevity. So this painting is Qing Dynasty. Is much later than Tang Dynasty. It's around. This one probably would be a commissioned painting. and just show you some details. As you can see, the color also very vibrant at this time. One aspect probably because it's much later, so the color got preserved much better, but also there is a shift of style between Ming Dynasty and Qing Dynasty. The style has changed and the preference has changed due to the culture, and also there's several emperors in Qing Dynasty who tend to like very vibrant colors and designs, so that also promoted this style.
So Raymond, can I just remind you and everybody else that there's going to be an opportunity at the end for people to rate how well they liked the paintings, or their favorite or their least favorite. So if
and also
if you wish to make a note, then we'll ask you towards the end to help us have a discussion about that.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Won't be like a test or something. There's no exam in the end. So just trying to ask everybody to join in the full experience. So I'm just going to quickly show 12 of them backwards so you get an idea. So this is the 12th one. It's in Qing Dynasty, and that's the 11th one, tasting the tea, Ming Dynasty. Okay, and then this one, Ming Dynasty by the artist Xu Wei, and then 9th, the same artist, different flower, and this one, 8th, the sketch from of the rare birds. Okay, the 5 Dynasty period, which is a bit later than Tang Dynasty. Okay, and this one, the court ladies, that's the 7th one. Also, the 5 oxen, that's the 6th one. Okay, I think I heard something, maybe someone trying to join in.
You just carry on, your deputy assistant will admit them.
Oh, can you? Thank you.
I'm hoping to be able to do so. Yes.
Yeah, if you can't, just give me a shout.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the 6th one, and then we got the 5th one, which is the house. It's a Tang Dynasty piece, and that's the 4th one, which is Song Dynasty. It's about a music party. Okay, and then the 3rd one, which is solely a sketch, no paint, just sketch, no color.
Raymond,
Okay.
I think I haven't been able to admit this guest. Could you do so, please?
Okay. Yes, I will do so. Just give me a second. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we are back to number 3 and number 2. This one is a landscape painting. Okay, and the very first one, a very vivid color. This color is very rare in that back then. So that's the first one. Okay, so we are a little bit late than the schedule as planned, but that's fine. We are going to talk about the main theme of today's talk show.
No, you won't. Wait for a moment. Wait for a moment,
okay.
Please, because
okay.
There's a question here which I think you need to answer. Asked by Ian. He was under the impression that Chinese paintings were inspired or better infused with symbols related to faith or cultural traditions. Are there any examples in the paintings you have selected?
Sorry, let me just stop this presenting so I can adjust it to a way I can see all of you. Otherwise, I'm just talking to a screen. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I can see you now.
So it's about cultural and religious symbols in the paintings. Do they exist in the ones you have chosen, in any of the ones you have selected?
Yes. In terms of culture, this one, for example, as you can see, there is bamboo leaves here. I'm just gonna make it bigger without losing you guys. Okay, I can see you and also my screen as well. So bamboo is a symbol in Chinese culture. You can take a guess what's the symbol meaning of bamboo in Chinese culture and Chinese painting. Anyone? Down live. If you think about bamboo, how bamboo grow. Bamboo is a fast-growing
Plant.
Yeah. There's some aspect of it, but if you're trying to say represent growth, that would be depicting the shoots, bamboo shoots, rather than a fully grown bamboo. So I would just introduce that. And the bamboo in Chinese culture, especially in Chinese scholar painting. So the bamboo, because you're just trying to imagine that when a strong wind comes, the bamboo would bend, but it won't get broken. It will, when the wind goes, the bamboo just become vertical again, stand up again. So that's being used to say some virtues of the artist himself or herself, saying, even though there's some bad things might happen to me, even though I'm not doing well in politics, I should always keep myself together, and there will be a chance I can just stand up and be integral. Keep my integrity. I don't want to be with a value I don't agree with. I don't want to do the things I don't want to do. So that's a cultural significance of bamboo, but it's only part of it. There's also another part. Resilient, yes, very good. Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, we're gonna keep on going. Okay, so I introduced some of the museums to you, and also some famous paintings I picked. And now we are heading to this part. And this, I did a lot of research, both from my previous education, and also I really enjoy to go to different museums. So the part I'm going to introduce has some reference, but also have my own originality of my ideas in it. It's not going to be stating stone is not going to be as accurate as some scholar, but I just want to show you how I understand Chinese painting as an example. I hope that would give you some inspiration. Okay. So the first part, of course, to be able to understand anything, you need to look and feel the painting. So I have quoted some art scholar and art historian here. Aesthetic feeling arises from intuition, not from reflection or learning. This one is an art scholar back in Mingguo time, which is before the new China was formed. And he was a big figure in beauty and aesthetic, talking about this. He wrote a lot of books on this subject. Also, this one might more familiar to you if you read some. He got a very famous book called The Art of Story, which I highly recommend it. It's very down to earth, very easy to understand, but trying to say big topics in stories. He also said to enjoy art, one needs not to be an expert. Sensitivity is what matters. So you can see both from the East and the West, in terms of feeling that or understanding that, we have some common grounds there.
Here, here. That's cultural exchange. What we're
Okay.
practicing and preaching, extolling the
Yes.
virtues of learning from one another.
Yes. So today, I think the one shame of viewing Chinese art today is, unlike Western art, like painting format, it was almost designed to be displayed in a frame. So it's very natural when you go to an art museum, and they often have red walls or white walls, very vast space, and you got the paintings hung on the wall. Everything feels so natural. But Chinese art, especially the hand scroll, there will be like vertical ones, which is okay to be hung up to display. But most of them are horizontal, and they're hand scrolls. They're not designed to be displayed in a museum that way. So you lose some part of that experience. So in old times, because a lot of Chinese painting are painted on paper, and we certainly didn't have that technique to preserve that well. So originally they would be held in this type of bamboo, as my arrow pointed there, this bamboo container to preserve it. And it's only when the time the owner want to appreciate it, it will take it out and then gently unroll it and get the same experience or even different experience again. So it won't become a backdrop in your house. It would be something you want to relive the experience every time you see it. So the whole experience really is about touch, it's about reveal, it's about give you a chance to wander in the painting, not so direct, not so straightforward. You can see the full painting straight away. And also, I put another two Chinese figure there. So in ancient China, Chinese is normally read from the right to the left. So this one would read Wo You. Wo means lying down. You means wander or travel. So that's a very interesting concept by a Chinese artist. And he said, I paint so much and I collect paintings so much. So one day when I get too old, I can't to go see all the landscape, all the mountains and rivers. I can just lying down on my sofa. Well, it's not sofa back then, but you get the idea. I can just lying down there and have a look of the painting, and I'm still traveling. I'm still wandering in the natural world. So that's the beauty of it. And it's a rather intimate and personal experience of viewing Chinese art. I think even though we couldn't recreate that experience for you through a digital screen, but I guess when I show the 12 paintings of them, they're bound to be one or two or even more speaks to you, makes you think of something. You probably had a connection with one of them. Then that's something you should think about it, why it makes it happen. To be able to help you complete that thought, I will introduce you some of the very basic knowledge of Chinese painting. So the second part is about learn and know the paintings. I will introduce some very key concept and aspect of Chinese painting. So first of all, I would like to introduce the different types of different categories of Chinese painting. Here, I categorize by themes. So this is sent to an art worker. It's called Pan Tianshou. He wrote a book about this. Okay, so by theme, there's mainly three main Chinese painting. The first one would be figure painting. As you may remember, like the court lady or the figure we see playing the instrument. And the second one would be landscape painting, which is very, very big in Chinese painting, almost dominating in Chinese painting. And also the third one is called flower and bird painting. The flower and bird here is flower and bird here is just to generalize the theme. It doesn't have to be flower and bird. It could be animals like the 5 accents would be classified as this type of painting. Okay, and then we got another way of categorizing by the painting technique. So mainly there will be 2 actually, and then there's other styles developed over time. So the first one is called fine brush painting. In Chinese language, it's called 工笔画, 工笔. The characteristics, as you may have seen them before, is so much in detail. It takes a lot longer time to paint them, and it's more realistic. And then you got the second type. It's called freehand painting. In Chinese language, it's called 写意画. The word 写意 is interesting. 写 basically means writing, and 意 means your ideas. So 写意 basically means expression. So this you can see from the painting style as well. It's very expressive. It's not about trying to mimic, trying to recreate the creature or the plant one-to-one. It's about trying to express your ideas. Okay. I can see some comments. Can Richard? Can Richard please read it for me?
I'm monitoring them, and
okay.
I'll come back to you with any ones that are very critical. And
okay, thank you. And there's other styles which is developed in later time. So I will pick one of them to show you here. The example is called boneless painting. It's a direct translation. So the boneless painting style, the big differences between 工笔 and 写意 is it doesn't really use a lot of lines. And in fact, today's scholar believe that has some influence from the West in Qing Dynasty, because at the time there was a lot of artists and people doing business, and also commissioners going to China in Qing Dynasty, and they bring the artworks and their way of living as well. So this way of painting is using color, using the paint to rendering the object instead of draw the line first and then color them. Okay. So we have introduced you some of the categories, and now there's some key concept I would like to introduce. So the first one here is a line. The example you probably have seen earlier in the Tang Dynasty one. Line is so-called the soul of Chinese painting. And as you can see, my arrow is pointing here. This piece is not a painting, it's a Chinese calligraphy. So in Chinese art world, calligrapher and painter, they're almost one. You know, someone who paints, they must do good calligraphy. And in fact, when they practice their lines, they normally go back to Chinese calligraphy to trying to learn, especially cursive style, which is very fluent, not so recognizable, but it's very expressive. So it defines the form, and the middle one is example. You can see how little lines that is used to depict this orchid flower, and yet it's so vivid, and it's you can't even see the artist have any hesitation about painting. It's almost feel like it was painted in 5 minutes or something. There's a certain rhythm in it as well. Okay, and then the other big part of Chinese painting is the ink, especially the black ink. Mm-hmm. So it's more than just black. By mixing the water, different intensity, and also different way of painting them, there's a lot more to black and white, more than just like one scale of black. There's a different type of them, and there's developed two main ways of using the ink. One is called the ink accumulation, and the second one is called ink splashing. You probably can get an idea from the name. This type of painting the mountains and the tree is a good example of the ink accumulation. It's often used to represent some both of the whether it's a solid object or the artist want to convey an idea about a subtle feeling or poetic feeling. It's often used this way. And the ink splashing, as you can see here, it's a very interesting piece. It's not a big piece. It's probably a bit bigger than a notebook. And it's used ink to splash on the paper. And you can see there, today we don't know whether the artist had a figure of this monk, then go to splash the ink, or the artist splashed the ink first and then develop this figure. So we don't know. But that's also gives you an idea about the originality and also the creativity in it. It's quite bold, it's quite romantic in it.
Raymond, before you move on,
okay.
There are some questions coming. Some I suggest we deal with in the question time. The one I'm going to put to you on behalf of Denis Passme, who is Nicola, asked, did they use the same ink on paper and silk?
So the ink has developed over time as well. They're not exactly the same. The one used in paper are much more. How do you express it? It's much more. It will expand because the paper absorbs some of the ink probably better than the silk. And also, if you paint on a silk, the ink has to be a bit thicker. But once it's on a paper, like the ink splashing style, you can actually use not so thick ink. So they are different. And also, some of the old ones painted on silk normally is before or during Tang Dynasty, because the paper was invented in Southern Han Dynasty, which is a bit earlier than Tang, but it was not fully used, not widely used. Silk is still the main material to paint on until later, like Song Dynasty, you got a lot more paintings on paper. Okay, so moving on, we have, which we mentioned briefly earlier about the blank space, and I choose a different example here. So if you if you have learned something about I think if you learn something about contemporary art, the Western one, there's one subject about composition. So in the composition part, I remember because I learned industrial design, which is a Western structure of learning design, and we were asked to our teacher would ask us to do a practice like this. So that you would need a paper and divided them into 4 empty space, and then give them some lines and trying to use your technique, make them very different. And the blank space or the negative space was widely used in that as well. But in ancient Chinese painting, artists there already adopting this technique. So the example here, as you can see, is in today's Tokyo National Museum. It's dating Southern Song Dynasty, 13th century. So if you expand it, you can see some detail under the boat. The artist only used very fine lines to represent the movement of the water. Other than that, all the other space are empty, but yet you still can feel the vast contrast of whether it's sky in the distance or it's just water. It's to your imagination and your way of thinking, of imagining this painting. So you can also feel a sense of loneliness or a sense of solitarian in this painting. Okay, and let's move on. And another technical bit. So the top bit, as you can see, you probably can tell it from the outline. That's the most famous Western painting during Renaissance time. Is by Da Vinci, The Last Supper. And this picture here is to show you the vanishing point, which is a concept in perspective, which is also a scientific finding during the Renaissance time. So Da Vinci's painting, like this one, not only because it's a great technique and the theme of the painting has religious meanings, but also the scientific part behind it. Back at the time, people, decide to say, oh, it's not so much about God. We as human beings, we have to live, we have to love, we have to do something, not just for God. And the scientific finding supporting that. So there was certain liberation in it. And because of this technique, you almost automatically being drawn to the center of the painting because of the technique. Almost everybody was noticing the Jesus in the center from first glance. And that's the beauty of adopting this technique. And the contrast between Western way of perspective and Chinese perspective is very different. So the example I'm giving here is the first painting I showed you. You can't really finding one or two vanishing point in this painting. So later on, scholar giving them a name called scattered perspective. So back then in Song Dynasty, people wouldn't call it perspective. People wouldn't say it's a scattered perspective. It's just how people express themselves in the painting. The idea of not having this one, possibly because of the scientific finding, wasn't exist back then in China. That's one possibility. Another one is they trying to give you this idea of wandering. They don't want to guide you the way they want you to see this painting. They want you to have the experience under the painting from the start. And every inch you go, you see some interest and you almost feel like you're wandering in the painting. As you can see in the painting here, like the right-hand side, the mountain in the distance, as we now know, if you're trying to make it authentic to human eye, it would be much smaller to the one near you, because that's just science. But the artist didn't adopt that way. In some painting, this is not the best example, but in some painting, the mountains in distance appear to be very tall. And that's a way of saying, there's not just one way of distance. It's also a distance between you as a viewer and the mountain. So artists trying to create a way of saying, no, you are not the master. You are just a viewer here. So you should be standing there, looking up to the mountains. So that's also gives you an idea how tall, how vast the mountain is. So that's a perspective difference. And okay, then we got two small bits. That the first one is called colophon. This one is not really a painting, but it becomes a part of the Chinese traditional painting. So all the inscription here, some of them would be written by the artist, but most of them would be written by previous owners of these paintings throughout the history. So Chinese painting some of them got lost, some of them got burned, some got kept, and all of them what we can still see today has gone through a lot of different owners. Each of them, when they get it, it's a bit like today's social media. So it's like, oh, I got this massive piece. I must leave a trace of my existence here. It's a certain way of bragging about themselves, but also today it gives us an idea about how our ancestors viewed this painting, what their views of this painting. Do they feel the same as we do today? So this is very interesting. It gives you a lot of context in the artwork. So Western artwork, you got mainly as artwork itself. So like the Da Vinci smile, everybody is talking about whether the Da Vinci is smiling or not smiling. So it's lots of serious scholar has been looking into that. You know, they're using all types of techniques. But let's just imagine if this same sort of habits or tradition exists in the West. So we won't have to guess. It's probably someone near Da Vinci's time who would have written something saying, oh, that figure was, her husband just died. He was in a very sorrow state. There's no way she's gonna smile. So you get the idea. This not only gives today's people a view of the artwork itself, but also it's a combination between poetry, Chinese calligraphy, and the painting, 3 in 1. It's like a whole piece of our culture. Okay, and I'm gonna use the same example here. So all the red pattern you see in a lot of Chinese painting, majority of them would be stamped at a later stage after the painting was created. Some artists will have their own stamp. I have a stamp here to show you. So this is a modern version. Oh, I think I have to get very close to my face. So that's a modern version of it, and you can make a stamp like that. I don't know if you can see there.
So Raymond, that is unique to you. That is your trademark. Can you copyright it?
Well, in ancient China, that's a way of copywriting as well. It's unique because but it's every artist or every emperor, they will commission somebody to create a stamp for themselves. As you can see here, I select a picture. It's made of jade. It's a lion here, and it belongs to a Qing dynasty emperor. So that's has your, you mentioned about copyright. It is essentially copywriting, demonstrating that this piece is approved by certain figure in history, like the Emperor Qianlong in Qing dynasty. He is a massive fan of Chinese arts when he was an emperor. During his free time, he would collect a lot of arts that scatter around in China and get it to his office and enjoy it. Every time he enjoys something he likes, he would write something. Either use extended paper or stamp on it. Yeah, sure.
Can I just tell the audience a personal little story about you, not to try and embarrass you, but last year you commissioned your own stamp because you wanted to put your own mark, your trademark, your logo, if you like, on a very large commission you received. Let me finish. A commission to write in Mandarin, a large greeting. From a Buddhist admirer, a follower of Buddhism in Winchester. He wanted something written personally for him and forever. So long as that scroll exists, that inscription exists, your mark will be on it.
Yes, that's an idea of the red seal, and that's also gives today's scholar or art enthusiastic a way to trace back, you know, who owns this painting and who was proud of this painting.
Yes.
Okay, and so before we go to the third part, we have introduced you about the first initial impression you can connect with the Chinese painting without knowing anything about it. And then I introduced some basic concept and key elements in Chinese painting, whether it's technique or categories. And then there's a way of thinking and reflecting a level beyond the technical bit. So I will try to introduce you three concepts here. So the first one is a bit spiritual. It's called the flow of qi. I don't know if you're familiar with the term qi. It's a genetic term in Chinese Taoism originally. It's a religion, Taoism. And the qi is basically an inner spiritual energy we as human beings can contain in your body. And this got adopted in Chinese painting as well. So in Chinese painting, the flow of qi is saying, we are not here to copy the world exactly as it was, as it is. We're here to paint because we want to relive some moments. We want to create an inner peace or a poetic mood. As an example I showed you earlier, so you can feel the contrast between the mountain in the distance and how tall the pine tree is and how small the human figure in there. It's almost feel like this painting shouldn't be called tasting tea because, you know, in terms of composition, it's very small bit of the painting, but yet you can feel that human is not excluded from the nature. Instead, humans are in the nature. Humans are living with the nature, and you can feel a certain silence in it. Also, a certain way of living. You know, it's like there's not much of action happening, but you can imagine there will be, like by this guest probably walking towards there. Which room will he go? You know, all these thoughts is left to you to imagine. And there's the next bit, which was mentioned by Steve earlier by his question. So, no, not Steve, sorry. I think it's another person. Sorry, I forgot the name. Someone asked about the symbolic meanings of certain figures or plants or flowers. So this is my interpretation about that. So first of all, I would like to just quickly introduce a philosophy is developed in Song Dynasty and Ming Dynasty. It's derived from the Confucius ideology, but it has some development. So the basic idea is called 格物致知, which is saying by observing and understanding the principle of nature, we here as a human being would understand a bit more about ourselves and our connection, our relationship with the nature. So back then, there's a very, almost like a trend. People back then would write articles just about an object. They would painting objects, they were painting plants. They would write a very, you know, magnificent poetry just about a plant, as if there's something bigger than the plant itself. So the idea behind it is the artist really trying to use the plant or the objects they paint as a way of express themselves. So there's, for example, as the bamboo we said, it represents the artist their virtual standard or their resilience. I can't really pronounce that word that well. So
Resilient.
resilient, yeah, resilient.
Yes, yes.
And you also get like a flower which probably blossom in the winter time. So they use that to express their strengths. And this become very popular in the scholar painters circle. So it's also, there's certain political side about it, because in Ming Dynasty, where in Ming Dynasty, certain emperors, they are very fuss about artists. They are.
What was that word?
Like,
Very what? Raymond, what was that word?
They're very fussy. They're very, that's probably not a good word. They're very strict. They're very strict.
Okay.
On what artists paint, what poet write, and they would interpret the painting and the poetry beyond its context. So it becomes almost dangerous for some artists or some poet to write something or to paint something explicitly. So they would then adopt a certain inner language, like, you know, I don't want to say certain things, but I can paint something that only a small group of people would understand. And that's also my way of standing against, you know, the authority. And that's also made this trend popular as well.
Okay, brilliant.
So Raymond, can I just ask,
Yeah.
were there within Chinese art, in the history of Chinese art, were there movements like there were in Western art, where they would certain artists would challenge the consensus, would challenge what was expected of them as artists, or would they abide by the expectations of them as an artist?
You mean, is there any artists in the history, you know, stand up for themselves, or are they trying to challenge his authority?
Or were there movements like for example, within Western art, there were movements like surrealism that would challenge what art was about and
yes.
how it should be before, you know, presented.
Yeah. Just quickly answer a question from the chat. It's Ming Dynasty. Okay, back to Steve's question. That's something I'm gonna include the answer to the next slide. I think that's a very good introduction to the next slide. So the next slide I divided into two, which is a very good answer for your question. So in Chinese artists are almost like they are like automatically divided into two groups over the time. It's not something like carefully designed to, but one group of artists would be the ones really studied into making art, into painting. They would be very good at techniques, like the type we just said, gongbi, which is fine brush painting. And they represent one philosophy, which is called living in the world, so-called 入世. Basically saying we as human beings, we should be part of the society, we should serve the community, we should join the common world, we should celebrate everyday's life. And also, you know, artwork is not something it's not something very spiritual. It's also a way of express just everyday life. And you get a lot of commissioners or so-called, they would be trained in authority. In Song Dynasty, they are actually developed an academy of art in Southern Song Dynasty. And they would be trained there just to doing the painting. And then also there's another group of people who is mainly scholars. They would be writers, they would be historians, they would be some officials, and they would write poetry, they would paint as well. And they almost they almost like dislike the way other the professional painters paint things. They would feel like, you know, paint something very authentic, very true, very truthful to its form. Almost feel like a curse. Almost feel like they are shy. They're ashamed to do so. So they are representing another philosophy called beyond the world, which is rooted in Taoism, in Chinese religion. So that idea is saying, we are stepping back from the society. So that's very good when you said about some Western artist groups.
Yes,
they're actually trying to stand up to challenge the mainstream art form. But when it comes to Chinese scholar artists, they're not good moving forward. They're actually stepping back, saying, you know, you can play with your techniques. We don't care about your techniques. We want to seek inner freedom. You know, some of them, maybe they don't good at techniques. Maybe they are not a master of lines and colors, but some of them, they are almost deliberately trying to make it look childish, trying to make it look unprofessional.
Raymond.
And that's, yeah,
Raymond,
okay.
I'm sorry, we're running a bit behind schedule. We're now 10 minutes, 9 minutes left. We have
that's the last slide.
And Q&A, Q&As, please.
Yes, that's the last slides. Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
thank you. It's a Q&A session.
Thank you, Raymond. That was very interesting. Thank you.
We're not all going. We're not saying thank you to you yet. Other people's voices and questions can be presented and discussed now in these last vital 10 minutes. So who's going to be first? Raymond would love questions.
Yeah, well, just see it as a way of chatting. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I just want to take, perhaps picking up your last contribution, what costs are paid in contemporary Chinese culture, or even in the culture of China 100 years ago, pre what you call the modern China, for dissenting, for breaking the conventions, for challenging the orthodoxies? Who are the really creative, bold, courageous artists who have defied the orthodoxies, the conventions of Chinese culture and art?
That's a very big question. Thank you. I think if you ask me to say one name, let me think, in Chinese history, whose, you mean, basic challenge and developed his or her own way.
Turned all the conventions inside out, upside down, threw them up in the air to see where they came down.
So that artist, I selected two pieces of his work. I'm just quickly show you. Xu Wei, his name is. I think he is a good example of the virtue you are saying. You're saying like challenging.
Yeah.
I have studied a little bit about his his life as well. He didn't have a good life. There's a lot of things happening in his life. I wouldn't go into detail about his personal life, but during Ming Dynasty, his style is quite unique back then. You know,
it's very modern. His style is very modern. Yeah.
Yes, it's almost like abstract art.
Yeah,
it's hard to imagine certain art form exists in 16th century where everybody was trying to look alike, even in Chinese history. So in Western art history, a lot of great artists was commissioned to do portraits for famous people or for the rich. And certain things has happened in Chinese history as well, but not as a lot as in the West, because there's certain beliefs about hanging your own picture, in your home. That's just not considered to be a fashion in ancient China, unless you are very important figure. Some
Raymond,
historians will paint
Raymond,
for you. Yeah.
Raymond, I know you're incredibly enthusiastic and knowledgeable. We have less than 5 minutes.
Okay.
We have now the highlight of the show possibly is to know what people liked or disliked. So would you like to take us through the process of finding out what the most popular, let's forget the least popular, what were the 2 or 3 most popular paintings saw?
Why don't we say if anybody wants, because I'm constantly talking and I would like to receive some feedback or some ideas from the audience. Anybody would like to share something? Or ask a question, anything is fine.
You asked people to tell you what they liked. So should we ask people to tell us all what they liked?
Okay.
Which of the paintings were popular? Denise says, I think I have to read this. I love the mineral pigments, the azurite, malachite of court painting styles, green, blue, and Shanshui tradition, and 1,000 li of rivers and mountains. The emphasis on spirit in night shining white. I think you've got a competitor here, possibly, Raymond, who knows a lot about Chinese art.
That would be great. That would be great. We can invite you as a guest.
Denise,
okay. Anyone else?
Denise, can you hear me? No. Okay. No. Okay. I don't think she's participating by speaking.
No,
Never
she
mind.
can. She's just sent a message so that she can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Denise was asking about whether she could make notes during the discussion. Shall we? Because we have to be prompt. We don't want to keep people waiting. We know how desperate people are to leave. Yes.
Renee has just posted his favourite ones. He's just put his favourite ones.
Renee, 1, 4, 7, 12. Thank you, Renee. You played by the rules.
Would you like to share some of your ideas, Renee?
Well, Renee, we have 3 minutes left. You told me I had to say some things before the meeting closed, Raymond. All right?
Okay.
Because I think we need to think about closing the talk session to an end, and to thank Raymond for devising this structure, preparing every slide. They're unique. These slides are not picked off any other site. Raymond has researched carefully over weeks of diligent study what he's presented today. So thank you very much, Raymond. Thank you.
Well done, Raymond.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now,
thank you.
And Raymond also, because he's in charge of everything really here, wanted me to say something about our next dates, because today has been a pilot. We're very, very pleased that nearly 9 people have participated. 4 have apologized for not being present. And from small acorns do large oaks grow. So we hope that we will attract more when we meet again. And so do look out for our next link on Eventbrite on June the 14th. Our second talk is scheduled for June the 14th, and our third is on the 18th of July. We'll be following up this session by sending you a little thank you and a resume of future plans. And share this information with your friends and colleagues and family. Anybody can join. It doesn't cost anything. And we have a shop. We want to be able to share some of the produce, the artistic produce, the output from China of wall hangings. You can see behind me here in my own room, I have put 2 wall hangings, which I like more than any that Raymond chose today for the presentation. But please look at our site where objects, not just wall hangings, but many other objects, clothing like the hung fu that I'm wearing and the tunic which Raymond is wearing. We're selling these. They have become extremely popular. We've got fans as well, calligraphy sets, tea sets. There's bound to be a sting in the tail because of although the event is free, we would love you to buy some stuff from our store. Thank you very, very much indeed for participating and for your comments in the chat. We Raymond has read them all, and we're not going to delete them immediately, and we will take a further look at them after we have concluded today's talk. Thank you all very much, from India, from Spain, and from France, and from Britain. Four continents.
And Belgium. And Belgium.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
You're absolutely true. Thank you all very much. Raymond can say goodbye.
So I will send some of the details about our shop, and if you would like, you can join our WhatsApp group and follow us on Instagram. You can take a screenshot now, or I can send it to the email address. And on our website, you can use the code TALK, T-A-L-K, all capital, when you purchase anything in the last checkout point. And we can stay a bit longer, but if you have something to do, you can, you're free to leave. And thank you so much for joining. Also, I'm happy to stay a bit longer if you have any questions to ask. And thank you.
Thank you, Raymond.
I think we should.